even though I was started up with many things. Somebody called me and said, we have a disaster. A grown-up young man, mashallah, who is in the 4th year in engineering school. So it's just a couple more tests and he will be an official engineer. He decided he won't go to school anymore and he's not going to the final exam. Why? He said because studying these secular sciences is haram.
Who told you this?
I'm talking about this in
idea?
relation, it just crossed my mind in relation to what we're talking about, the Khawarij and their ideology and so on. So I said, okay, this is a situation which we cannot wait, bring him over. So we spent good 1 hour and this guy was so stubborn.
Last night you did this?
Last night.
In between hospital runs?
Yes, and he was so stubborn that he said, I heard from the scholar, I said, you name any scholar. So whenever he named a person, I said, fine, let me put him on the phone. He said, no, don't. This is what I understood and I'm not planning to change. You see the difference between somebody like these kind of Khawarij, whom Abdullah ibn Abbas argued with them, and he basically established the hujjah and the proof. They were fair enough to say, you're right, and we're coming with you. But the other guys were stubborn. What happened with An-Namrud, when Ibrahim, peace be upon him, the Pharaoh, when he argued with him and he said, my Lord brings the son, gives life and death, and he said, I give life and death, etc. So Ibrahim a.s. said, my Lord brings the sun from the east. Can you bring it once from the west? You see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. The weaker one, the disbeliever, which was An-Namrud, was utterly defeated. But did he give in? Did he say you're right? Did he believe? No. And that's why Allah humiliated him and He killed him with one of the worst means, by causing a fly to enter from his nose and settle in his brain, and they would beat him with their shoes so that he would feel better or would calm down.
You said nose, I thought it was the ear.
It doesn't matter, but the story
Bad
that
enough.
we were, yeah. What really matters is how much he was humiliated after he was a king. He claimed that he's God, but he could not save himself from a fly.
This is in ayah 258 in Surah Baqarah.
Correct.
And you're right. That story, I've told it many times. Look how he put himself up so high to say, I give life and death, and Allah killed him with a tiny gnat inside of the eustachian tube.
Yeah. What happened is, one of the arguments this young man who's ruining his life was arguing, he said that the professors do not teach deen. Rather, they sometimes say awful things about the Prophet, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I said, such what? Give me an example. He said, they're far away from the deen and so on. I said, can you imagine if one day you get married and you want to take your wife for delivery and she's pregnant? You can't find a single Muslim gynecologist or obstetric doctor. Neither a male nor a female. Why? Because you guys believe that it is haram for us to learn medicine. It is haram to learn engineering and mathematics and science. And he said we should focus on studying the deen. It is the solution and the salvation for us to study in the deen. So I give him many examples that I studied pharmacology and I studied deen. There's no conflict. There's no contradiction whatsoever. Many of my students in the States are now MDs and doctors in Baylor College in here and there, and lawyers and dentists. And they have memorized the Quran. And they're giving better da'wah than 1,000 person like him. I told him, I swear to Allah, if you're speaking to a non-Muslim and trying to bring him to Islam, you would rather repel him and send him further away from the deen. Because there's no logic behind your, behind your decision. So anyway, after we wasted a lot of time, he said, I have made up my mind and I'm not changing my decision under any circumstances. I said, what about your parents? Are they happy with that? He said, despite the fact that my parents are happy or not happy, this is the decision. He said, subhanallah, didn't Allah say that obeying your parents and pleasing them is a fard, second to belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said, but the obedience of Allah should come first. I said, absolutely true. But when they order you, when they wasted a lot of time and money, because he comes from a poor family, so his family must spend arm and leg in order to send him to school for 4 or 5 years, and by the end he's blowing it, he's ruining everything. Why? Somebody had poisoned his mind and he blocked his mind. So he said, do not listen to anybody else. Even the shuyukh, he claimed that he listened to them, he won't listen to them. So in fact, sometimes there is a chance where the person is still, when you notice some changes on the person, in his ideology, in his way of thinking, feeling like he likes to isolate himself or hang around with the wrong guys, then we should catch these guys in the beginning before they get sucked in and before it becomes impossible or very hard at least for us to bring them back.